The question we're going to address first is someone asked, what do we learn from what happened on October 7th? That is an important question, but I think it's a question that must be preceded by several ideas. And so we'll start really from the beginning of where I think this type of discussion in a classroom, a Torah discussion, should be. The first thing I think is that those of us that were not involved, of course, in what happened. Anyone that was involved it's a different world, a different galaxy, not a different world, a different galaxy, to try even approach that person and to try to understand what they've been through. Traumatic, sad, beyond words, and I would never suggest anything to anyone that lived through what happened, or even worse, lost loved ones, parents, children, spouses, in the sick way that it happened. So my words are not at all directed towards not even one of them, but us that were further away. For example, I live here in Yerushalayim, and although we heard rumors on Simchat Torah of some crazy things happening, nothing was really clear to us until after the fact. And even once we are aware of what happened, we have to also be grateful and understanding that we were spared from many, many horrors and many levels of suffering, even though there were some scares here, and there are terrorist attacks, and constantly there are terrorist attacks in Yerushalayim. But thank God, for the most part, God has protected us in a very meaningful way, and we have to appreciate that. So the starting point is, for those of us that are sharing in what happened from a distance, that's really what we're going to address. And of course, the idea of allowing one's emotions to go through their course. We're not robots. That's probably part of the problem. When you can become a robot, then anything is possible. But we're not robots. And so crying, sadness, hurt is all obviously part of our emotions. We're Am Yisrael Chai. We're one people. We've been united through millennia. That's one of the major differences of a small people that are united as one people, one family. 15 million is a lot of people, but in the end of the day, when you're billions, so I guess it's a bit more of a challenging to feel that family dimension of your people. But when you're a smaller number, certainly scattered, and some of the numbers are very small wherever they are, then there's more of this real community, family, we're in it together, brothers, relatives, literally. And so that's an unbelievable blessing for the Jewish people, that we are also connected to what happened, even if we are on the other ends of the earth, because we're such a small people that have been through so much, that we are sharing in what happened, because you have to. And so, sadness, crying, tears for the tragedy, and trying to empathize, to try to really put ourselves as much as we're able to, and feel for what those that are suffering much more than us are going through. Anger, this can make the average person very angry, and if you sulk in that anger, if you let that anger grow and grow and grow, then that could bring you to places that may not be mentally safe. But again, anger is going to be a normal, healthy, I don't know how healthy, but a normal reaction to what happened. Anger, sadness. Ultimately, we have to try to rise up as Jewish people that believe in God, people that continue to believe in God, even though we are slapped in the face many times by fate, by destiny, and we rise up, and we never turn on God himself, because we know that God is a loving God, and everything that God does is ultimately in some way that's beyond our understanding, far beyond our understanding when we see things like this. But we know that if we're here today after so many years and so many enemies that are all dead, and we're not, so then we have to believe that we are tapping into a higher dimension of reality, a God, that God-like component within us that obviously has a belief in a connection with God, and that's ultimately going to comfort us and realize that if we're here, then we must be unique, and we must have a unique connection with that God that has created all of this. Out of what? Remember, we have to always get back to the basics, fundamentals. The foundation of creation is God saying, I have so much love to give, and I want to find people to give it to. I want people to give that love to. That's what is the foundation of everything. How that will connect with what we're dealing with right now is hard, but maybe at the end, we'll hopefully appreciate it a little bit. So continuing with this array of emotions, I think we have to really feel gratitude that we were spared, that we're alive. It's an absolute blessing that we're alive. Because whenever a person or people are attacked because they're a Jew, and because they're living in the promised land to the Jewish people, Israel, the only place in the entire world that specifically God labeled and said it's my special place that I give to my people, is Israel. Every other place in the world, it belongs to who it belongs to, because at some point in time they were strong enough to hold on to it, to take it from whoever had it. And now, miraculously, let's not put God aside ever, miraculously, a bunch of countries in 1948 decide to give us back a little dot on the map. There's a level of miracle there. And that's God. God's behind that. And the fact that so many Jews can be here in the Holy Land, doing mitzvot, following Hashem's ways, learning, teaching Torah, believing in God, willing to go through the struggles that being in this special land, this holy land for a holy people that want to act and be holy, it's an unbelievable blessing. And so we have that blessing, but at the same time, it comes sometimes at a price. When people are targeted as Jews, living in Israel and murdered, so we have to be grateful that we were spared, because that could have been us. And it's again, it doesn't mean that we have, suffered in any more meaningful way, but we should realize and know that in my relationship between me and God as a Jew, then that could have been me. That could have been me. And we all have to appreciate the fact that we're alive. We have to be thankful that we're alive. We have to, on some level, a bit of a harder term to digest, we have to be happy to be alive, because life is a gift and life is precious. No one wants to give up a moment of life. King David, when offered to be buried at a time where he could receive more honor for who he was as king and for his entire life accomplishments, he did not want to give up a moment of life for that honor, because life is more precious than anything. And so the fact that we have life, it's precious, and we have to be grateful for it and thankful for it. And we have to try to balance happiness in a very tempered way in this context, because in the face of so much tragedy and sadness and heartbreak and heartache, so even happiness has to be a very internal happiness, in that it's just to strengthen us in what we have to do. It's to strengthen us to get through this day the way we have to in order to do our part in the fixing and in the rebuilding. Because without that, then all was for naught. We have to understand that if we're here, then there's something positive that we can do and add to the next page in the story of life, of story of the Jewish people. After October 7th, what can we do? What can we do? Simple person with a big mouth and a big beard here in Jerusalem, what can I do in light of what happened? My part as being part of the Jewish people. And we all around the world share in this same idea. And so I think the next thing is we have to have belief and strengthen our belief and trust in God in spite of what happened. We have to strengthen ourselves in prayer, because prayer is a real thing. It's something that's unfortunately dismissed because it's not so tangible in our conscious world. Talking in prayer seems to be words that go nowhere. But prayer, the words of our prayer, the words that come out of our mouth, go somewhere. Prayer is equal to doing something. Meaning, just like if I get up and I decide to throw something at a person, so it's hard to stop that. That act has a result. Prayer affects reality, that it has a result. We have to understand that. We have to believe it. And the more we believe, the more power we give to our prayers. What is the foundation and essence of prayer? It's Emunah. It's belief. It's that trust that's invested in it that makes it so precious in Hashem's eyes. And so the Emunah that we have in Him, the trust we have in Him, is the power behind those prayers. And that's a very important thing to appreciate right now. Once we get past the sorrow and the tragedy and the mourning of what happened, it's okay. Now, after mourning, we must get up. We're past 30 days. And we have to get up and think, what can we do? So what can I do? What can you do? What can everyone around the world do to bring positive, to add more light? Well, one of the important things is for each person to strengthen his connection with God through prayer, talking to Hashem, crying to Hashem, pouring it all out. All that inner mess that we have right now, the emotions, the sadness, the heartbreak, that we're torn. Looking at a world that's torn apart, upside down, gone crazy, a suicidal world. We got to add some light into this darkness. And the light of prayer, the power of prayer, to pierce through all of the heavens, all of the galaxies, everywhere, reaching Hashem Himself, God Himself, to take notice of my words, is a powerful, powerful thing. My tears, my feelings, my hopes, my requests, what I'm asking Hashem to do for me and for the world, that's a power. And that's a power that brings results. And so anyone can ask, what can I do? Can I fly to Israel and start picking fruits? There were some people, unbelievable, that did that. What can I do? Can I come and join the army? Can I come and try to help those that are in need? What can I do? Well, you can do from right where you are, pray. Pray. Praying is an important thing. Praying and being thankful for what we still have.